All right, guys, welcome to the KFO Show, Kayak Fishing Obsessed. My name's Darren. I'm your host, guys. This is episode number 16. I am pumped. I felt like it was only yesterday. We're on episode number 1. So episode 16. Like I said, my name's Darren. You can find me at Wendell Fishing on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, all those places. I'm typically on YouTube, but tonight, guys, I am pumped. We have the co-founders, owners of YakRods, Tandi and Scott, sitting in the green room with us. And so I'm excited to take a deep dive. This is what I'm hoping for. I'm hoping for like a masterclass on fishing rods, because I don't know about you guys out there, but there are so many options and blanks and this and guides and all this. I want to take a deep dive. I want to learn all about it. So hopefully they're going to give us that masterclass. But a few things I want to, before we bring them out of the green room here. This is an interactive show. So last week, guys, you were blowing up the comment section. I'm not sure if you're actually listening to a word that Fishing with Gramps and RJ Fishtails and I were talking about, because there's like another smorgasbord of comments and conversations going on in the comments, and I absolutely love it. But if you have a question, throw that in there. I do my best to kind of manage that as well, and I start it, and I usually will come back to it if we're in the middle of like a dialogue. So interactive show. Number 2, if you were on the podcast listening in, I had a guy reach out to me yesterday. He's like, hey, I binge watched 4 of your podcast shows yesterday. We were working on my kayak. Thought that was awesome. He said, keep it up. And so if you're over there, guys, we were at like 250 views. I just checked like an hour ago. So I have a feeling that the podcast will eventually eclipse, because it's growing faster than the YouTube live show is. So if you're listening from the podcast, or if you miss one of these in the future, you can check it out over there. I want to give a shout out to my live show sponsor. And Jeff, I saw that you're on. Go ahead and say hi. Jeff is the owner of usrivermaps.com. And if you've been around my show, you've heard me talk about this all the time. I want to share with you some photos of what kind of Jeff does. This is what I have right behind me. These are hydrological maps printed on canvas, framed, and these are freaking sweet. So he's got a bunch of different color variations. This is one he did for the Paddler's Playbook custom for them, and they're really happy. That thing's huge. Like I could like take a nap on that thing. It's so big. So Jeff does a fantastic job. Just started his business like 20 weeks ago. And so if you have a question about any of this stuff, just ask him, because he's listening in tonight. So Jeff, thanks for bringing value to the show. Also, if you are interested in one of those, here's a code to get $35 off. Get 35 off. If you're on the podcast, it's all lowercase. Get the $, the number 35 off. So Jeff, thank you so much for that. Another thing I want to talk about is something I'm involved in. I'm getting really excited about the Knucklehead Bass Fishing Series. Guys, in 3 months, I'm kicking off 4 one-month tournaments. And let's go ahead and take a look over there. If you were to go to fishingchaos.com and type in, click on that find a tournament and type in Knucklehead Bass Fishing Series, let's just see who signed up for May for my team. So I'm pretty interested in this. All right. I'm scrolling down. All right. So I have in May signed up so far. We have Ben Smith, Bill Alton, Colton Cox. I think he's on tonight. I think I saw him say where he was from. Aaron Blank, Suzanne Tyson, Tammy Sanchez, and Tyler Gallagher. Guys, as of right now, no one else signs up for this. One of these 7 are going to win a spot on my team to travel down on Veterans Day weekend to fish against Team Chad Hoover, Team Fluke Master, Team Fishing with Gramps, Team Creek Fishing Adventures, and all these teams are growing. And so I got this going on. I'm pretty excited about it. And so this is like one of those real easy ways to kind of ease into, if you've never been a huge fan of getting into tournaments, this is how I'm easing into it. The $15 entry fee. You can sign up for all 4 months, save $5 and do that. But I'd love for you to have you on Team Wendell, what I'm going to call Team Underdog, because it's going to take a small miracle to get a bigger fish than Fluke Master or Chad Hoover. But we're going to try, and everybody loves an underdog story. All right. Well, guys, I want to go and bring in Tandi and Scott. Guys, welcome to the show. If those listening in, if you guys have ever been on your Facebook feed and wonder why you get so many YakRod advertisements, it's because this guy right here. Scott, welcome to the show. Tandi, welcome to the show. Here's what I want you guys to start out with. Share with me the story of YakRods, and I'm really curious to know kind of the landscape of fishing rods. I'm sure that's part of your story as well. Please share with us.
Go ahead, Scott. I'm still trying to figure out how to get onto his fishing team. So you go sign up.
Yeah, so we started about 2 years ago now. And we were running a circuit. We're up here in Idaho, so North Idaho area. We were running a local, like Pacific Northwest, North Idaho type circuit. And over time, we just kind of realized that all the rods we were using weren't quite what we wanted. We wanted different characteristics, different things in a rod, and felt like we could potentially design something that was going to be better and more suited for the kayak community. And that's kind of that idea formed. And all of a sudden we went from tournament directors to running a business, which was kind of crazy, but it was a lot of fun. And we've learned a ton along the way. This isn't, something that, I'm a firefighter by trade. Tandi's, was a stay-at-home mom. And, this is all stuff that we've kind of figured out along the way. And we've, learned a ton just by talking to people, talking to manufacturers, and going and visiting places. And it's been a really cool journey so far.
Tandi, anything to add to that?
Yeah, I think first and foremost comes from our love of kayak fishing. Just the simplicity of being on, a small craft. And for me, I started with my boys, so it was a huge investment as far as just family time and just the type of fishing is what got us into this to begin with. But then, the type of rods that there they are. Yeah. The type of rods that we were coming across. Well, with my boys, I lost a ton of rods. Either you watch them cast and one goes flying, or they bump them and they go over. So that's where we developed just the tethering system with our rods, is not wanting to lose a rod.
Right.
Yeah.
So, how long ago did this start?
2020. Yeah. So
okay.
2020 kind of, yeah. So we've been around for about 2 years or so, a little over. And yeah, it's been kind of just slowly growing since then. I mean, we just came out with a product that we really liked, and then slowly we've kind of added. I mean, we started with black line, which was, at the time, it was 5 rods, and I think we're up to 15 now in different series, and we keep growing. And I think we've got more rods, which we'll talk about later, that we're launching, and then we've got a whole other line for inshore guys, because we keep getting requests for inshore rods. So it's been pretty cool.
Okay, so for a guy just getting into kayak fishing, or a girl. Oh, by the way, Tandi, you were the first female to be on the show in 16 episodes. One, I am sad that it took so long. And trust me, I've asked other female anglers out there to be on the show. I just haven't heard back. So I'm excited about that. That's a little bunny trail there. But circling back, so for a new guy or girl getting into kayak fishing, like I'll go to Walmart, I can go to any type of sportsman, and I see all of these numbers. IM 6 and graphite this and modulus that. Share with me the landscape, because I believe you said so a moment ago. The reason you started YakRods because there wasn't a line of rods out there that was specifically designed for kayak fishing. So one, share a little bit of the landscape. What's kind of been frustrating along the way, maybe, that you learned when you kind of like looked under the hood when it comes to maybe how that all marketing kind of takes place. I'm just curious about that. So I'll kind of let it take it from there.
Well, to hit on that, Darren, you can go to Walmart and you can jump in any old kayak. That's what's so beautiful about this sport, right? You don't need all the bells and whistles to compete. Mm-hmm. My boys and I, we entered our first kayak tournament, probably 8 years ago. And we had yard sale kayaks. Our anchor was a dumbbell. We each had one rod. And we took the tournament, and we took big bass.
Come on now.
It doesn't, you don't need all the bells and whistles, but I mean, like any pro athlete, when you get to a level where you really want to start, fine tuning things and stuff like that, you start to look where you can make that difference, where you get
Right.
an edge.
Right.
So, yeah. So I don't want to discourage anybody from going and picking up, an ugly stick or something like that, because they get the job done, right?
Oh yeah, I got some Fendi sticks right here, and they've been getting the job done for years, right? But I'm to a different level now, right? So that's why I'm really interested.
Yep.
So
Yep. So yeah. So when you go to the next level, you're looking for rods that perform, day in, day out. That was a big part going into it, is we wanted a rod that was going to be able to take the beating that kayakers put on their rods. And still have that sensitivity and all the castability, all the things that we like, but that could kind of well, you step on them and you throw them in. They don't get babied.
no, not at all.
No.
Not at all. Oh man, we got a ton of questions here. All right, so I'm gonna head over to the questions here. One, Mr. Bluestone, we're gonna get off topic here, but I got to answer some of these. Are you renting a house for your team? I believe that's what we're doing. He's talking about the Knucklehead Bass Fishing Series. I believe that we're going to get some Airbnb. So kind of still to be determined, but hopefully that answers that. Fishing with Gramps is on tonight. He says we'll go down there and catch. Yes, we will fishing with Gramps, because our PBs in Ohio are like maxing out like 6-7 pounds. That's like a normal fish apparently down south. All right, Carolina Bass Hunter. Oh, dude, I'm signing up for that team. Team Creek. Carolina, you're killing me. Team Creek. I'm actually kind of offended. Like, I know if I go over to YouTube, I can put people in like timeout, and you would be put in timeout right now if I was on that platform. I'm on like StreamYard, if you guys wondered. All right, Steven, just got my first yak, a Native Slayer Max Propel 10. All right.
Nice.
Love it.
That's
I have a Native Slayer
Yeah.
Propel 10. I don't have the Max, but I have loved the 2 years that I have been in that one. Army Outdoors, great story. The American U.S. business dream story. So 3 years in, tip my hats to people who have started a small business. All right, we got Fishing with Gramps. We're going to take a little left turn here. Got a question for you. Any inspiration from the St. Croix Mojo kayak rods? And feel free to back up on it a little bit, because like I think I read on your website, you use St. Croix blanks, right?
Yeah, so we took some inspiration from the St. Croix Yak series, right? But we looked at the good comments, the bad comments. We know that St. Croix makes a phenomenal blank. We use them in our black line. We don't use all St. Croix blanks, so we can talk a little bit about that. But the SC4 specifically, which is their tournament elite series blanks, we actually took those and put those as a part of black line. But based on that, what we started noticing was that there was kind of a trend for negative reviews with their Yak series being a little bit tip heavy. And that was because of the short and rear grip. And because of that, I felt like a lot of anglers that we were kind of seeing were not really happy with the overall feel of the rod. So that was one of the things that we wanted to do when we were designing our own, was come back and say, okay, well, how can you counterbalance that? Because I do feel like for most anglers, a short and rear grip is nice because you don't catch your PFD, especially when you're seated, you're in rough water, things like that. If you have a real long, kind of almost like a boating grip, sometimes you'll catch the edge of your PFD, and it may not be every cast, but every 10 casts or so, you just you get hung up or whatnot. So we wanted to shorten that a little bit. And one of the things that we designed was our NTA cap, essentially, which is, allows you to leash the rod at the end of the cap. Sorry, I talk with my hands. I'm trying to keep them out of view of the camera here.
It's all good. Do whatever you want. Be you.
But that actually works as a counterbalance. So that's a 1 ounce weight, essentially, for us. And you can leash it. It's 1 ounce. It hangs in the back of the rod and brings that tip, or brings that weight, that center point of the rod back. So especially on those black line series, when you really look at it, and you look at the balance point of the rod when you have a reel on it, it'll actually be dead set pretty much right on that reel, depending on the weight of the reel. I mean, everything's going to be a little bit different. But that was part of what we did. So, yeah, we took some inspiration from it and then tried to improve upon the product.
All right. We got fishing with Gramps. Oh, I'm getting some echo. Now that you took Ed Buds out, we'll figure this out. There we go. It's gone now. Very nice. St. Croix makes some great blanks. So if you balance it better, you have a winner. And it sounds like you guys took advantage of that and did. Evan Foyle, YakRods rock. Love it. Yes. Short grip.
Little family love.
Yeah. Is that a family member?
That's a family member.
Oh, right on. I had a name that came by, William Snyder. And so I'm going to read something real fast because William actually made a comment like 25 minutes ago. And he said, "Hey, I'm in their advocate program. Just ordered my second rod, switching over from St. Croix. I'm very pleased with my crankbait rod from them and just ordered a bladed bait rod. Talked with Scott on the phone. They seem to be very customer oriented and happy to be a part of the program." So it sounds like you got some CS down. So great work there. So it tipped my hat to you there. So tell me.
That's kind of huge for us, Darren, is just in our advocate program is kind of it's a training ground for us, but it's also where we can really keep in touch with the anglers. We don't ever want to lose touch with our community. So that's huge for us. Working with Derek Brundle, and now working with Chad, that's what we love. We want to be in the community and getting feedback, what the anglers want, how we can improve, all that. So our advocate program is pretty huge for us.
So I've actually had a couple people write me today, and they're like, "Hey, of course I do this little promotion beforehand. Like, oh, I just signed up for the advocate program. Oh, I just signed up for their advocate program." So walk me through, because I know you got two tiers, what the advocate program is, what the other side of the program is, and then walk me through into each individual, like, what does it mean to be part of your advocate program? And a second question to that, actually, I'll just pause. I'll let you answer that, and then I'll have my second question. I got to write it down so don't forget it.
Yeah. So essentially, we have two tiers. We have the ambassador tier, and then we have a pro staff tier. And the pro staff tier, for us, we've got 3 members on it right now. We've got Cody Henley, we've got Derek Brundle, we've got Henry Vision. We got great guys that are on it right now. And those are guys that we pretty much sponsor. We'll rent houses at things, at tournaments, and house them in it. We give them all rods. When we come out with new rods, it's the whole meal deal, right? We support them any way we can. And then below that, we have our ambassador tier, and our ambassador tier is basically like a way of getting into the brand and starting to kind of see and understand what we do, and it introduces us to them and then them to us as well. So what we really do is we try to make it a two-way street. So we have our own like Facebook group, for instance. That's an advocate only Facebook group, and that allows us to have this conversation back and forth, because the last thing we want is to really be kind of like here's our products, I hope you like it kind of a thing, right? Like we're constantly we're constantly tweaking what we do, and we use our ambassadors for that, right? So when we come out with a new product, like right now, for instance, we've got new rods that are coming out. We've got some, just some simple shirts and things like that. But we put that up for our ambassadors, and we're going to put that out there and say, what do you like? What do you not like? What can we do better? And it helps us really improve products because we're getting their direct feedback, and we know exactly what the community, so we're always grounded in what the community wants and what they need. And so kind of the ambassador tier for us, they get that 20% discount, which is really nice because, it's expensive to make an American made rod. Like, just like being absolutely real, it is expensive to make an American made rod that a lot of our blanks are made here in the US.
Okay.
And those are all things that we produce. I mean, we pay US labor rates, we pay good. So we retain good quality wrappers, and that they stick with us so that we can keep that quality high, because that's the biggest thing for us. And so because of that, we understand. Part of that is they get that 20% discount, which is nice because that usually brings a rod like sub 200, and they brings it into that range. And then on top of that, they get access to like pre-orders. They'll have input, they all get input. All of our rods generally have been in some way designed and helped by our ambassadors. Usually there's some little tips and things like that we'll get, that we'll recognize, like, might be the handle length or little things like that we can take, or even something as drastic as blank design. We've had a few of those. So it's been pretty cool to be able to really utilize that program in that way.
Yeah. So what are you looking for? Oh, go ahead, Tandi.
And as our pro staff grows too, we'll pull from our ambassadors for pro staff.
Got it. So not a whole lot of skipping the line there.
Right.
I love it. So how many ambassadors you guys got right now?
I think we're at 59.
Yeah, somewhere.
right?
Yeah, I think we're about right around 60, right, hitting 60 ambassadors. I think we're going to open up, like we're accepting all the way to about 100 this year, and then our goal is to kind of get to 100, make sure that everyone's happy, get good feedback, and really kind of work on, for us, kind of refining the program too. And then from there, you know, we might open it up every year, every season to a certain amount after that. But trying not to be like a complete free for all, but at the same time, like we want to be able to get the brand out to enough tournament series and have enough exposure throughout the US. Because that was the thing. Initially, we were really just here in the Pacific Northwest. So it was difficult for a guy that was in Florida to be like, well, I want to go drop $300 on a rod or $200 on a rod or whatever. And without really having anyone there to get their hands on it or any way, because we're not really, we're more of a direct to consumer model and not necessarily a retail. So.
All right. So tell me what you're like. You can answer this to the degree of it you want to, but what are you looking for? Because you're essentially attaching a brand that you have, you know, dream, sleep, you know, cry over at night. Sometimes I'm sure. And you're attaching that to people, right? And so personal brands. So what are you looking for in an ambassador, kind of behind the scenes, beyond like, I'm sure the numbers have to be involved, and of course you know. It's a return on investment for you, but what ROI are you looking for?
So I wasn't sure if Tandi wanted to take that or not, but essentially, I mean, honestly, it's passion. I mean, and that's no joke. Really looking at it, it comes down to passion, because we honestly feel like if you're passionate about kayak fishing, you're passionate about the brand, you like the quality of the product that we're putting out, like that's what we look for. That's what we want. Because at the end of the day, when we take our pro staff members, we're taking them and pulling them from the ambassador tier. So like, I don't want somebody that just barely knows us, doesn't really understand our product or what we're about, and then trying to rep them as pro staff. It comes across as disingenuous, right?
Sure.
But realistically, I mean, that's really what we're looking for, because at the end of the day, I mean, what we've kind of come to realize is like, yeah, you get somebody who, I mean, we put our product out on, you know, channels that have 40, 50,000 followers and whatnot. And yeah, you get a ton of traffic, but if they're really not aware of you, they don't really understand your brand, or there's no passion behind the guy that's marketing you at the same time, it really does no good. So, I mean, realistically, it's the connections that people make at the boat ramp, right? When you're launching your kayak, when you're at a tournament, you're at a boat ramp, it's that passion for the product. When someone says, "Look, what is that? That looks different," and they pull it out and they start talking about it. I mean, that makes the difference for us. So
yeah. Tandi, anything to add there?
Just character. I think character matters more to us than followers. So we're trying to be picky. We can't be too picky either. I mean, we don't know these people very well yet, so we're getting to know them. But yeah, we want to have team players that get along. We like the mood of our Facebook page. Everybody's rooting for each other and, you know, wants to go fishing with each other and staying in touch. And so far it's been really positive. It's been amazing.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, fun. Thanks for sharing a little bit kind of behind the scenes there. A lot of times I know many of us there's a lot of I don't know, systems like that out there with companies, and we're always scratching our head like, what are they really looking for? And I'm sure it's different for every single one. So thanks for sharing kind of behind the scenes with yours. I got a ton of stuff started over here. All right, so we got we got some questions here. RGM Fishtails. Actually, I had him on the show last week. RGM, thank you so much for one, coming on the show, and two, coming back. Him and Fishing with Gramps did a great job last week. If you haven't seen that show, go back and rewatch it. It was a blast. Is YakRods made in-house is the question.
Yes.
All right. So you pointed up there. Is she the one making them up in the right-hand corner of the box?
Yeah. Tandi is the rapping queen.
Are you making one right now, like underneath the screen? I can't see it.
Yeah, it's nonstop. Yeah. We just recently moved into a bigger shop in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. But yeah, it's exciting. It's super cool. We have our end caps fabricated in Hayden, Idaho here. We try to keep as much as we possibly can in-house, and local. So, yep.
Yeah. So
like Scott said, we get the St. Croix blanks are obviously from St. Croix, but we also have a manufacturer in Portland that we get some of our blanks from. So yeah, we drive down or we have those shipped to us and pull them in our shop and start from there.
So is this your guys' full-time job? You kind of alluded that it wasn't. At least Scott did earlier.
Yes.
It's a second full-time job, is what you're saying.
Yep.
Is it your full-time job, Scott? Because you mentioned you're a firefighter.
Yeah. Well, I mean, so yeah, I'm a firefighter full-time, and then pretty much, I work a 48-96 schedule. So I work 2 days, have 4 days off, and then pretty much my 4 days are dedicated to the business. So
sounds about right. Tandi?
Same. I'm still, I'm a mom and a grandma, and I have priorities with my family, but when I'm not with family or doing something with kids, then yep, I'm at the shop. I'm probably, I don't know, Scott, what is it? 60 hours a week, maybe, at the shop.
There a lot. She's there.
She makes it sound 60. All of us are like slowly dying inside, but passion is first thing comes to mind.
Yeah, gosh, I'm playing with fishing rods. It doesn't seem like work.
Yeah, I mean, I'll go out and spend 6 hours in my garage just goofing around. It doesn't seem like work, so I get it. So I'm curious, if I were to drive up to Idaho right now, walk into the shop, like, what do I see? How many people are there? Like, what's going on?
On a given day, you'll probably first see our golden retriever, and then, well, I have two other rappers, me and two other rappers.
Okay.
And some of my kids will be there, or Scott's in and out. We have another partner, Chris. He does our accounting and things like that. He'll be in there quite a bit.
Okay. All right. So
not a lot of blanks.
Yeah, I saw some pictures on your Facebook. I'm like, holy cow! All right, I got some questions over here, and I want to circle back. I want to kind of get into the meat of fishing rod blanks, fishing rods, and we'll talk about guides, and I want to take like the geek train here in a bit. But Colton Cox asked a question: and we discount for veterans? I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, so I'm a veteran myself. So yeah, no, we can do a veteran discount. So we'll.
I think we have a code in there, don't we, Scott?
You probably do. I'll have to look it up. If you give me a little bit of time, I can tell you the code. I just got to go back and look it up.
Okay. As I'm asking questions, he's gonna. Well, we'll throw it on the video replay afterwards. So if you're listening in and not live, you'll see that down there. I got a question from Fishing with Gramps here. That's a good one. What blank is the X Chatter based off of? I know the Victory Rip and Chatter is a newer St. Croix tech that allowed them to move from the glass to the lighter blend while keeping the parabolic action. One, that's a lot of words. A lot of us are probably scratching our head over, but I'm glad that Fishing with Gramps. So unpack this for us. One, what is Fishing with Gramps talking about? Then two, try to answer that for the normal fisherman. Fishing with the Gramps.
Yeah. So actually, so this is probably one of our more, I'd say, our more unique blank. Tandi and I is probably one of our favorites just because of how unique the blank truly is. And it's actually not 100%. So what we did was this blank is actually a composite blend. It's a composite of HM, so high modulus, and S-glass. And what it does, it gives you the, what's the best way to put this? So the tip of it, it's almost like a stinger tip, kind of like if you go to like the Mega Bass and some of that, where they have like these kind of like almost like stinger tips where they're kind of like glass, they're a high quality S glass in the tip of it. Well, ours just comes down a little bit more and then goes into backbone. So really what you get is you get really good quality feel for the rod. And then once it starts hanging up on something or you get a bite, you can really set the hook and immediately goes into backbone on that. So it's kind of it's an interesting blank. It's a little bit different for us. I think you get a lot of the best of both worlds in regards to the forgiveness of the glass, but you also get a lot of that stiffness and rigidity from the graphite or carbon fiber.
Okay, so you mentioned that you alluded that there's a variety of different composites for a rod blank. Walk me through those, where you typically would find those, and why you would or you personally wouldn't use those.
Yeah, so I mean, carbon fiber. So obviously, there's a lot of marketing that goes into a lot of these different rod brands. So you start getting into like, you've got like you're alluding to. There's like IM 6, 7, 8. They go crazy, right? There was like nanotech resin fiber and all this other crazy stuff, right? At the end of the day, essentially what we're talking about is there's E-glass, S-glass, carbon fiber, right? I mean, those are the kind of the main things. There's always going to be scrim in a blank, and scrim is something that's used to keep the blank kind of like even, right? And not lopsided or anything like that. But those are like the three main materials that you're going to see in most blanks. And then depending on the quality of the carbon fiber, you've got like SM, HM, SM, IM, HM. With IM and HM, and then you actually have UHM, which is starting to come out, which is like ultra high modulus. But you've got essentially those, right? And all those have different advantages. So depending on what you're trying to do, say if I'm using a crankbait, I want more bend in the rod, right? I want it to be more forgiving. I don't want it to be super stiff because I'm using treble hook baits. And I want it to be able to like bend over, right? That's why you use a moderate or a moderate fast when you're crankbaiting, is because you really want that bend, you want that forgiveness. And so you're not generally going to use a like high modulus blank for that. I mean, you can, it's just not necessarily the right application for it.
Right.
And so really what we do is we start off with like, okay, what are we trying to do? First off, what tier is this rod? So, is this going to be like ultra high tier where we're trying to build like the best of something? Or is this going to be kind of like a good intro tier? And then based on that, we start picking like IM or HM or S-glass or E-glass, and we start trying to tweak things and start trying to combine them. And so really depending on the application is really when we start kind of getting into it. Personally, I think, well, and this might be interesting. Some viewers will probably disagree with this, but I actually think there's a lot more versatility when it comes to composite blanks than just regular carbon fiber blanks. I think the carbon fiber is, I think it's a great blank. I think you get a lot of great sensitivity. You get the lightness, you get the backbone, but I think you can mirror a lot of those and still get a lot of different performance and tweaks and things like that you just can't get. The X chatter being a good kind of, for us, our X chatter rod being a good example of that, blending of the S glass and the HM, really being able to kind of tweak it and get the right characteristics and the right performance out of the rod is something that's you just can't do when you're only working with one material sometimes.
Yeah, that X chatter rod's been a favorite of our customers. And like Scott said, it's just so unique where it loads up, where it goes into backbone. So it's just perfect for a chatterbait. I mean, it's ideal for that application. Same with the feast rod. We were able to play around with that and get those exactly the way we wanted it. And that's what's cool having a blank manufacturer here in the States, is we can literally drive over to a shop and say, no, we want it to break there, or we want it to go here, and we're just working hand in hand.
I love it. All right, so let's have some fun here. So if you're listening in, let me know. What we're going to do is I'm going to have you name like your favorite type of fishing. And then we're going to have Scott or Tandi kind of share maybe the rod they have for that and the breakdown of that rod and why they build it the way they build it. So help me out here in the comments. Go ahead and share your favorite, and we'll get there in just a minute. And while you guys are doing that, I'm going to go back to some of these starred things because it's just going crazy again. Let me see here. All right, Thomas. Any chance of delving into custom rod builds, different handles, guide train? Oh, I know I'm opening a can of worms with that question. I'll let you. I love you. Because I talked to Scott like 2 months ago and I asked him to be on the show he's like, I hope to, by this show, to have this in place on our website. And I'm going to stop talking and let either Scott or Tandi take over from there.
Well, I will tell you, I will tell you that I progress is a little slow on the app. So, but yes, so what we're looking at doing is really being able to customize. This is a feature that we're rolling out. So I'd say one of the advantages that we have is that obviously we produce all of our rods in-house. So we can customize the rods to whatever someone's spec might be. And what we've come to realize that in kayak fishing, everyone has their own preferences on just about everything.
What?
And so, right? Yeah. We get all types of comments sometimes. You get the like, well, a kayak rod has a 4-inch handle, and then you get another guy that's like, it's a 10-inch handle or nothing, and you're like, okay, well, I don't know how to please everyone. So what we did was we said, okay, well, let's just customize rods. So that's part of what we're going to be doing. So an option that'll be available hopefully here soon in one way or another. And you can email us now and just say, hey, like that's what Bill did essentially. He emailed us and said, hey, I want this. He wanted the black line 7-foot medium heavy fast. He wanted that, but he wanted it in a split grip. And we said, sure, not a problem. We'll customize it for you. It's no big deal. We can do that. And all we do is we just tell you like, hey, depending on, how many blanks we have in stock or something like that, it may be a 4 to 5 week waiting period essentially before we can get it out to you. But so what we're going to be offering here soon is the ability to customize whatever blanks we carry. So if for instance, you want, a 7-foot medium heavy fast, but you want instead of a 8.5-inch grip, you want a 4-inch or a 6-inch grip, because that's your style of fishing and you like that, then we can customize the rod to give you that grip. You might want an EVA foam grip. You might want a wind grip. You may want to change up the guide train. You might want to up it and beef it up. You want double foot guides. Maybe you want, maybe you want that 7-foot medium heavy fast in a spinning configuration. We'll do it. So there's any number of things now that we're going to start being able to kind of offer, which I think will give us a little bit of versatility and also kind of help, really get out to the people that want that custom rod feel. They have a design, they have a technique that's very specific to them that they really enjoy, and they have their own preferences. And now we can kind of cater to that.
Well, and hopefully the app on the website will be fun, because you can just go on there and tinker with it, much like you can with other products you've seen where you can, design your own shoes or what have you. But it'll be a first for fishing rods.
I was going to ask you that. Is there anything else like it on the market right now?
I think it's hard for other companies to do it because they're going overseas. So, right. Yeah. So, I mean, it's our hope that we can just continue to cater to the kayak community even more by adding something like this to it. So,
I think it's incredible. Go ahead, Scott.
Oh, sorry. Well, and your own decals or your decals or your own branding. I mean, that was the other aspect of it too. If you're one of those guys that wants your own little personal touch.
What? Now we're talking. Yeah,
exactly.
Yep. Oh man, that's got me all jacked up. I'm kind of pumped about that. So real quick, to say it out loud, the email, because it's not up yet. Where would they write you if someone were to get a hold of you and be like, I want something custom, but I want to wait for you guys to get the app done?
yeah, I'm dragging my feet. Just hello at YakRods.
Scott at YakRods.
It's out there. It's out there. Tandy's like, I'm not doing 65 hours. Not 65. I'm passing the buck on that one. Oh my goodness. All right, I got all kinds of stars here. Let me go back. All right, so we're gonna go back to the original question. Some favorite fishing types, and I want you guys to geek out on because we haven't talked about. You talked about different type of grips, so try to unpack that a little bit for us in your answers. I'm really curious about the microwave guides out there. I'm seeing them left and right. I want to know. Tell us what they do, if you can, in one of these examples. All right, so RGM Fishtails, crankbait and lipless. That must be his confidence go-to. What would you build for him?
Yeah.
All right, let's do it.
So that's an easy one for us. That's going to be crank. I mean, so our S class, it's one of our probably one of our favorite rods, and it's a beautiful S-Class. It's coming from St. Croix. I think St. Croix probably makes, and I think Tandi would agree with this, they make some of the best S-Class blanks that you can get. And crank is a 7-foot medium heavy. It's going to be a moderate action. It's a beautiful blank. It loads up nice. It casts nice. I would go to that all day and then some. But then I will say we do have a custom rod another rod coming out. We'll talk about maybe a little bit later. But you could also use that for some of your deeper diving Magnum type crankbaits.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on. Colton, my man, jigging. What would you build for him?
Let Tandi.
Well, the medium heavy fast in blackline is a good choice for that one. But recently, I mean, people are loving our Feast rod. It's been huge, and you can literally boat flip them out of mats. They're,
All right.
it's just a all go-to rod when you're in thick stuff.
So you guys have been bouncing around and saying different lines. So I don't think we've ever actually unpacked that a bit. What different lines do you have, and what separates one line from the next?
Go ahead, Scott.
Yeah. So we actually have 3 lines essentially right now. So we have our foundation line. So foundation's like our great like mid-tier line when you're just getting into it, or you really want to start seeing kind of what the brand is about, what the quality of the rods is about. It's a great all-around line. And really what we did was we decided, okay, so for the minimalist, for the guy that goes out, he's got 2 rod holders in the back, he can put a rod up front. What can we do to incorporate 80% of bass fishing? And that was essentially the thought process when we came out with foundation. And it's essentially just 3 rods that covers all, I wouldn't say all, but about 80% of the techniques that you can do in bass. And they excel at those, right? They're the great all-purpose, do everything type rods. And then from there, we've got Blackline. Blackline's the first one that we came out. It's kind of our baby that, is like, it's the ultra high end, it's the SC4 blanks. It's got all the bells and whistles. It's got, the wing grips and everything on it. It's got soft touch reel seats. I mean, even the reel seats are nice on it. Like you grab the reel seat and it's got this like cool leathery type feel to it.
Oh yeah.
It's just different, right? So it's got all the bells and whistles. And then from there we have our specialty rods. And I will say all of our lines are outside of specialty. So both foundation and Blackline are dedicated towards covering like a breadth of bass fishing techniques. So even Blackline, with it being 4 rods, we've just kind of expanded it and added a little bit extra in there. Like we did, I think we essentially from that line outside of like what we did in foundation, we've added a medium light, right, for Ned rigs, which is like a technique that I really enjoy.
Makes 2 of us.
Yeah, right. Because we like catching fish.
3 of us. There we go.
But yeah, so I mean, all of our lines are essentially dedicated. Both Blackline and foundation are dedicated to cover a large section of fishing, and then outside of that, we've got our specialty line, and those lines really excel at a few things, and they do a few things really well, and that's kind of what we've dedicated that to. So when we came out with Rip, we worked with Derek Brundle because he's a guy that likes to throw a lot of jerk baits. Both he and I like to throw a lot of jerk baits. So, that is a rod that is dedicated to that. When we talk about Dredger, which is coming up, that's that deep diving crankbait rod. That's what it's going to excel at. That's the bread and butter of that rod. Same thing with like crankbaits, seem kind of easy. And then you've got like X Chatter, you've got Feast, and like Tandi alluded to, Feast is one of those rods where, I mean, you just yard them out of anything. And that's really what it's for. It's for those deep, it's something we didn't have in the lineup until we got it. Was we didn't really have a great rod that was heavy enough to really just yard fish out of just nasty milfoil. And so every one of those lines is kind of dedicated to something. But if you're just starting out, you're really just trying to get a good feel for who we are, I would say foundation is a great way to start. Or if you're very technique specific and you're looking for something that, you really like throwing chatterbaits or whatever it might be, go to the specialty series and then take a look at those rods.
Yeah. Wow.
And in all those rods, we incorporate our end cap with that balance, and we call it the NTA. Scott came up with that. It's the not the abyss end cap, because you don't want to lose your rod to the
There you
abyss.
go.
So each of those rods are balanced by the end cap. We can add more or less weight inside of the end cap to compensate for each of those applications and the different rods. So yeah, they're all designed with that in mind.
Is that all going to be like part of the customization process where you can add like half ounce on the NTA cap?
You could, yeah.
Yeah.
He's like, I don't know. I don't have the app ready yet, but maybe it could.
So it's coming.
I know. Give me an idea. When can we expect this? I mean, I'm sure all of us are already on your website.
Put me on the spot about that. No, I mean, honestly, I'm hoping to have it up in the next couple of months.
Oh, great.
We will have a way for somebody to get onto the site. I can tell you this. Within a month, we'll have a way for somebody to get into the site and actually customize something using whether it's drop downs or whether it's the visual app. We'll have that feature so that they can do it. If in the meantime, like I said, if they have some customizations that they want and they know exactly what they want, or if they want us to walk them through it, we're happy to do that. And you can just email us and we can walk you through what we can customize for you.
Yeah, right on. We got digs. This is very interesting. Yes, this is very interesting. So that's why I was really pumped to have them on personally. Colton, can't wait to get myself one of these rods. Right on. Let me see. We got a question here. So here we go, Thomas. So will we be able to order a rod with a blank that you typically don't use in your production rods?
I think it would be difficult. So yes and no. Let me say that. If you have something very specific that we can get our hands on, I think we'd entertain it, right? Like we would want to help that person. So like right now, we don't have a BFS rod. It's something that's on our radar, but we don't have one. So if somebody was like, hey, I want a BFS rod, I want something that's going to be able to throw like a 32nd of an ounce out, and you're like, okay, well, first we've tinkered with it, but yeah, we can develop a rod that'll match that. The only thing is that when we do those things, and this individual, I guess, would have to be aware of that, it's not something that we've spent time and energy and countless hours on the water utilizing. So we're essentially building them a prototype rod, and they would just have to understand that. That would be the only preference I would make when it comes to that.
Right.
Yeah, and maybe even leave our logo off of it.
Prototype is what they're asking. We will build you a prototype.
Yeah, we're pretty picky when we want people to be confident when we stick our logo on there that they know they're getting a rod that's been tried and true. So we don't just want to half-ass it.
No, I'm there with you. We were having this conversation in the green room, not directly related to this, but when it comes to sponsors, and I was sharing how you just don't want to attach your name just to anything. You gotta really believe in it. And so I get it. I love that. So thank you guys so much. I got a couple more questions here. I was on your website and I noticed some language that we're talking about unsanded blanks, and that was kind of being positioned on your website as something that's a benefit. I'm curious why. Talk to me about rod guides a bit, because there's a kind of new technology the microwave guys want to talk about benefits between so just the wind grips, the different type of grips, why that's important, why it could be important for an angler.
Can I hit the guides real quick, Scott?
Yeah, go for it.
So American Tackle, amazing company. They're a company that came out with these microwave guides that it basically, when you're like a gun, you're shooting a gun, you want it straight and tight. When you're launching your line out of these rods, it just keeps that line whip tight with these extra thing, especially in a spinning application. But more than that, just like what we were saying, is you don't want to attach your logo to something that's not tried and true. American Tackle has put in tons and tons of research to really nail down and their product, and they stand behind it. So all of our rods have nothing but American Tackle guides
on
them.
Just on their website, unrelated. And I was like, oh, because I know that I was thinking about, when is it possible to kind of make my own? I had someone reach out to me and was like, hey, I can show you how to build these things. I was like, okay, you can need all these tools, blah, blah, blah. And I was on their website because they provide a lot of those things. So I saw them there. That's where I saw them. And if you go over there and see the diagram, it makes sense, right? It's kind of, the microwave guide is, it's almost bucketed. So when the line goes in, it kind of straightens out. So it's not whipping all the way through your rod blank and through all your guides. It straightens it out right from the beginning. So like, oh, that makes a whole lot of sense.
What's so funny is when people, will grab our rods and they've been, you're used to the distance that you can cast from a kayak to the
Right.
bank. We had guys like shooting it up 15 feet
Look at
in the trees. It really does go further, which is a huge advantage because you're most of the time sitting in except for Derek. Derek doesn't sit in his kayak, but most people sit in their kayaks. So to be able to cast further, really, those guides really help you out.
Yeah. I constantly will see a fish blow up and been like, that's probably 10, 15 yards out of my range and it won't have an opportunity to capitalize on it. So having that extra distance matters.
Mm-hmm.
And be prepared to lose a bunch of really expensive lures when you first make your first couple casts with the microwave guides.
Yeah, I mean, and everything's a numbers game, right? So like, and I think this goes back to when we start talking about like, we go back to that pro comparison, right? And you're starting to compete in tournaments and you're starting to really compete in these things. It becomes a numbers game when you're thinking, okay, can I cast an extra 10 or 15 feet on each cast? Can I cover more water throughout an entire day? If I'm throwing 500 casts in a day, can I cover that much more water than the next guy, than the person next to me? And can I put my lure in and give that presentation to just a little bit more fish? Or do I have a blank that's slightly more sensitive and maybe I missed one bite on that slightly, other blank, right? But I've got this one that's a little bit more sensitive and I felt that one extra bite, and that one extra bite was the one thing I needed. And so like these little incremental things are kind of what we look at when we build a rod. We think kind of almost like holistically about the rod. So when we look at every little design feature, everything that we've kind of put into it, adds up to a whole. And so, like line slap is such a big thing. Like Tandi was saying with these guides, people don't recognize that line slap on a blank is really what slows down, that lure, and it's gonna decrease your overall casting distance. So reducing line slap and being able to cast further was kind of a no-brainer. So it was a great pick and such a phenomenal guide series that we've been just thrilled with them.
So that's awesome.
We haven't had one return come back in these last 2.5 years for eye popping out. We had one tip that malfunctioned, but none of the guides are malfunctioning.
Yeah, and you guys got a pretty solid warranty. Yeah. You want to share that with the folks here who may be considering?
Yeah. So essentially pretty much just the warranty that we cover is fully transferable. It's lifetime. It's, if something happens to the rod, we got you, and like, that's kind of our philosophy on it. Especially when it comes to like any kind of manufacturer defects, anything that aren't our part. I mean, generally speaking, you're going to have a warranty issue on a rod the first 5 times you take it out. You take it out within about 5 times or so, you should know whether or not you're going to have a major significant issue with it. But aside from that, like one way or another, we strive to try to help you. Like, we had a guy that literally told us, like, he's like, hey, it was my fault. I shut it in the tailgate. Right.
Classic.
Like, okay, well, that's not on us. but we still, we're like, hey, but we totally get it. And we want you to be happy and we want to take care of you, kind of thing. So, we ended up just saying, hey, just cover the cost of the rod. We'll send it out to you. And so we really try to go above and beyond, because we know like these things are investments. Like, when you're paying for it, like, we get it. It's an investment in a rod, especially when you're buying, that mid-tier type rod. Like, you want it and you want it to be able to last. So, and we appreciate that. And we really want to be able to take care of our customers.
Yeah. You said a little bit ago, I want to bring mention to it. I love that you see kayak bass fishing kind of in terms of numbers and percentages, because I do too. I was like, okay, and now you're at the point where if you've been kayak fishing for a while, you've already got like your major gains, right? You should have probably already figured those out. You're a couple years in, and now you're looking like the tweaks. And so all the things that we're talking about today are those minor tweaks to get to you that competitive advantage, especially if you're out there doing the tournaments, or just really just love the sport so much that it matters if you lose one bite. Maybe you're just, for me, I got 2 kids upstairs. I got to put in bed before 8:30 starts so I can get the show rolling. My wife's up there, helps me out, but I'm a weekend warrior for the most part. And so you have limited time, and you don't want to lose fish because you can't get the distance, or you just don't have the right equipment. So I love that. 2, here we go. Colton Cox. Sounds like you guys are having a major reputation in the coming years. I think you guys are going to kind of take off if you haven't already, because it's customer service and what you guys have explained to me and the passion behind it, and the extra mile that you go for kayak fishing anglers will travel like wildfire. So this isn't going to be the last time you're at YakRods, because I just, give it 3 more years and you guys are going to be absolutely crazy. You'll be able to quit your job as a firefighter and go full time, right? Is that the plan? Is that the plan?
That's I don't know. I mean, it's a pretty good gig. I really enjoy that.
He's got a good gig.
Love it. All right. Well,
we'll definitely, hopefully, go fishing more.
Yes, there you go. That's the dream right there. So we're coming up to the end of our time, but if you have a question, you have yet to get it answered, or I missed it because I have 38 stars and I can't get to them all, bring that back up. We'll get that answered here in a little bit. I got a lightning round for you guys. So lightning round, just some random questions I decided to come up with at the beginning of the show. And lightning round number 5 question is going to be listener's choice. So one of those questions come in will be number 5, but really just 1 or 2 word answers. Curious. We'll start. Scott, favorite Senko brand?
Yum. Because I can get a ton of
Yum.
them. They work.
All right.
They work.
How about you, Tandi?
PNW. He's a local guy up here. He does local pours. I'm gonna stick with the small guy.
Hey, there you go. Love it. All right. Number 2, top 3 confidence lures.
So jerkbait, Vision 110, going with Ned rig, and
what's
probably
your Ned rig setup?
What was that?
What's your go-to Ned rig?
So, oh gosh, what is the name of the color?
Scott, you should have just said jerkbait.
I'm gonna be honest. Really, there's 2 confidence baits for me, because it is a jerkbait, and then I immediately go to a Ned once I found them. So honestly, it's between the 2 for me. Those are the ones that I know I can go to any lake, anywhere, at any time and catch fish. So
he seriously can.
I'll always go through. I'll use a jerkbait over a wide area, and then as soon as I get a couple bites, I'm like, all right, they're right here, and then I start slowing down. So
love it.
But yeah, I like throwing really small. So I'm a fan. I'm that guy that goes like a 32nd of an ounce, or or an 1/8. Like I've got a BFS setup because, well, we're prototyping and we can do that.
Well, yeah,
so
you can do it every year.
So I'll throw those really small ones out there, and I really like that. And obviously, go with the tried and true. So, but yeah, no, those are probably my 2 hands down that I will always have tied on and always use.
All right, Tandi, how about you?
I am gonna go with Kitech, 3-inch Kitech, probably with a 3/16 ounce dirty jigs head. That's my favorite. Okay. I thought one year it would be fun to just only throw that small swim bait, like in the entire year.
Yeah.
just change colors, but I like plastics, so I like throwing a tube. We do a lot of river fishing, and bouncing a tube off the bottom is money for smallmouth up here.
Awesome. That was 2. I need number 3.
Oh gosh. It's still flipping a Senko under docks.
I love it.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. So, what kayaks you guys run?
Hobie Lynx.
Okay. Scott, how about you?
Yeah, I'm excited to see her in a tournament in that. That's gonna be fun. It's gonna be a lot of fun.
I go minimalistic, so I don't have any of the bells and whistles. I still like to just have like 3 rods, no electronics. I like to pedal and just kind of wing it. Scott's got all the bells and whistles.
Tandi and I are polar opposites.
Like you own a rod company and you only carry 3?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I would make my kayaks out of rods if I owned a rod company.
Not me.
Yeah, no. Tandy's over here, and I'm on the other end. I've got the Hobie. I've got the 360. I've got live scope on it. I'm rocking 2 screens. Like I love it.
But see,
like,
I caught 5 fish before Scott even gets his boat like off the dock.
that is true. it is a hefty thing.
I love it. Worst fishing kayak you've ever owned?
Oh, Pelican.
Oh yeah.
It was like a plastic.
It's usually your first one. It's like your entry level.
Yeah.
Sit on plastic, very low seat, down in the water. Oh
Yeah.
I still have a Sun Dolphin Aruba 10, and that's who I let all my buddies fish in. Hey, you want to go fishing me? Sure can. Come on, I got a Aruba 10. I slapped a rod holder on there for you.
Funny.
Won't fill your butt in about an hour, but hey, you're more than welcome to come with me. All right. Oh yeah, Scott, you didn't answer. Do you have one?
Well, so I had a Tamarack, but I'd say the one, if I'm just gonna throw out this, so the one I'm probably most disappointed in was honestly the New Canoe Pursuit, and it's odd because I think it's a great kayak. It's just the stability on it, but the difference between the primary and secondary stability is just wonky, and I could never get used to it. And that's coming from, I was in a Vibe Seagulls prior to it, which I thought like, oh, this is going to be such a major upgrade for me. And it's not that it's a bad kayak. Again, I think getting back to it, it's more like just that was the most disappointing kayak I'd ever purchased.
Yeah.
I wasn't really prepared for that.
To be fair, these are just like personal, not that the kayaks are bad. It just doesn't fit our what we love. So I get it. One person's kayak was awful, the next person like, I absolutely love it, and I hear that all the time. And so hey, to each his own. All right, question number 4. Top kayak fishing channels you guys follow. You don't have to put 5. 5's a lot. What's the top 3?
So if I had to list, I'd say, so the ones that got me into kayak fishing first, right? So you're talking like Fluke Master, Chad Hoover, Greg Blanchard, like those are the 3 that like started me off in kayak fishing. And then after that, I found like Indie Yak Angler because his videos are like the most tranquil videos that you've ever seen. And he catches these like phenomenal smallmouth bass. Like you listen to it and you just want to like fall asleep. They're just his voice is soothing. The water, he always fishes rivers. The water is soothing. It's just, And then probably Christine Fisher because she's a phenomenal angler. And then, you always catch some sort of like tidbits of information from the way she fishes. It's phenomenal. So
I heard someone refer to Indie Kayak Angler as the Bob Ross of kayak fishing.
Yes, exactly. He is.
I don't know who said that. Maybe Fishing with Gramps. Someone mentioned that. I just had me rolling. He's like, oh my goodness, that's exactly who he is. He's just like painting a picture as he rolls down the river. Oh my goodness, Tandi, top 3.
I'm not a huge. I don't watch a lot. Christine Fisher's been I follow her, female athlete. But our pro Cody Henley, honestly.
Okay.
He's one of the funnest guys. I met him on the water in Utah. And he's probably one of my favorite people to watch fishing just because he's so hilarious. And he jumps around on his Hobie like a monkey and doesn't go in. He's a fun guy to follow. Derek, I like following Derek. But yeah, I'm not I don't watch a lot.
All right. We got the last question, listener's choice, and the one I'm going to choose for that's an interesting question. All right, here it is. And I lost it. Here it is. All right, RGM. Will you ever make a $100 rod to really spread into the market? Fascinating.
How do you do that?
Fascinating question. Or entry level that's still like quality. You kind of understand the basis of the question.
Yeah.
Whether it's $100 or not.
And this is being. So I will say that I don't really think that there's a way that we can make a U.S. rod for $100. I'm going to say that, like, up front, that is just being completely transparent. There's no way that you can pay labor rates. I mean, we do a lot of we pay for all the shipping, the materials, everything, right? I mean, there's just no way that we could feasibly do that.
And it costs us $30 to ship a rod. Just to ship it.
Yeah.
So I mean, and then the components, we're skimping. Like, we're not making a ton off each rod as it is.
Yeah. And there's a reason why we're a direct to consumer brand, right? Is because, we can't, I mean, when you're looking at like really what a lot of these brands are selling to a retail spot, you're talking about 40-45% off the top. And we just can't do that and then reasonably price the rod. It's just it's not possible for us. And a lot of these companies that are doing it, they're essentially going overseas. I would love to be able to produce a $100 rod because it would open us up, right, to such a huge market, because that's kind of the one thing that really, I mean, when you look at us, we're a mid-tier line and a little bit even in the upper mid-tier line. And that's because of not only the quality that we try to put into it and really trying to source a lot of American-made parts and components and labor rates and things like that, but I will say that, we are trying. I mean, if we do go into that like 150, 175 kind of dollar range, I mean, we're talking about an import rod. And that's essentially, something that we'd have to do is bring something from overseas and try to really balance and make sure that we're still getting that quality. But it would just have to be something that some of these folks would have to understand.
Tandy's face right now is like hard no. But that's what would have to do in order to get that price point down to.
Yeah, or I mean, start rolling our own blanks. Maybe if we got big enough, we could open up our own blanket manufacturer. But I don't foresee that. It's difficult to get that cheap. Yeah. And when you get that cheap, I mean, you're compromising.
Yeah. No, I think you guys got a good thing going for you. And I think, you'll market to the guys and gals out there who want that, take it to the next level. And you have you have it all for that. And great customer service. I think you guys will go far. I really do. And so I'm really excited to see how YakRods kind of takes off. I'm going to ask you a crystal ball question. This is the last question of the night.
I have to say, your questions this is fun.
Oh, well,
when we first came on, right? Scott and I were like, "Oh, we hate this," but this is fun.
Yeah, it took some follow-ups to get you guys on the show. I had to work a little bit, but we got you on, and I'm glad we're having fun. That was the hope of it. Just get around and talk about something we all love talking about. All right, so this one's like, if you had a crystal ball in front of you right now, the future of kayak fishing in 2023. Any predictions? What are we going to see? Just some thoughts.
So the future of kayak fishing for 2023?
Yeah, you can go like you can go into something you're super familiar with, maybe tournaments or production or things that maybe you see that we don't see because we're not in the business.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I got to be honest. So one of the things that, I mean, and this is not just 2023, I'm forecasting the next 5 years, because we've been in talks with some folks that are doing some really cool stuff that are independent, but I think you're going to see, and again, this is 5 years or so, but you're going to see more carbon fiber specific kayaks. You're going to see kayaks get lighter, and not talking like, I mean, Apex obviously started kind of this trend of, the fishing kayak that's 100% carbon fiber, things like that. And I'm a materials geek, so I love, I mean, when you're talking about carbon fiber and things like that, like I love composite materials. So this is where I get really excited. But I think you're going to start seeing these fishing kayaks that are getting lighter, more maneuverable, and you're going to be able to, start picking them up. You're talking like a PA-14 style kayak in size and dimension for like 60 pounds, right?
Wow.
I mean, decked out. So I think we're going to start seeing kayaks get lighter. You're going to start seeing those, and you're going to start seeing that price range come down. When you're talking about Apex, I don't know where they're landing now. I think initially it was like 10 grand or so, but I think you're going to start seeing that kind of wander down into that like $5,000 to $8,000 range. So I think you'll definitely see those trends. And then I think the innovation overall in the industry is going to continue to kind of, I think it's going to pick up more and more steam. I think a lot more brands are starting to pay attention to kayak angling, which is going to be great for everyone, right? Because we all love these products. So I think you're going to see a lot more specific kayak branded products.
I see more youth being getting into the sport too. Just in college and high school, I think there's going to be more, not just the boat clubs, but I think you'll see kayak clubs. And just stuff like that for youth.
Yeah, I hope so. I have a daughter who's 7 and 5, and I'm trying to drill into their brain right now. Like, I would love for them to be a part of the channel with me, but we'll see what they love, and we'll let them choose their own way. But man, that'd be a whole lot of fun. Well, folks, I want to thank you for listening in. Thank you to my channel sponsor, US River Maps. Jeff, I see you've been bouncing around in the chat. Thank you so much for bringing value to the show. Check them out. Get 35 off if you want one of those. Check out YakRods. Guys, so what's like your main platform? If we want to follow YakRods, and it's the place where you spend a lot and focus a lot of your time and energies, where should we hit the like or subscribe button?
Obviously we're still building our social media stuff. So yeah, if you give us a follow on Facebook or Instagram is helpful. Both Scott and I do not like social media. So it's painstaking. I think when we hire another person, it's going to be our social media stuff. But yeah, give us a follow on one of those things, or just go directly to our website and you can get our emails. We like to be personable. So
yeah. And look, we got a couple comments here. Oh, go ahead, Scott.
By all means. I mean, again, questions or comments, anything like that. I mean, just reach out. We're constantly calling folks, talking to people over the phone. Like, we just like having that interaction with customers and really kind of getting to know them. So, I mean, we're not opposed to that. We really enjoy that interaction. So yeah, shoot us an email or just, like Tandi was saying, Instagram, Facebook are kind of our two go-to platforms.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah, we're still small enough where we can stay in touch with everybody, and that's what we really love. So just reach out.
I love it. Nichelle says, thanks for coming on, YakRods. So cool to hear from you. Carolina Bass Hunter, just went to y'all's YouTube. I know Jeff, working with Jeff at US River Maps, he's the same way. If you guys just have a question, he'll work with you. So Lost and Tackle has his own own thoughts on social media, as you can read in the comments there. But hey, thank you all for showing up. We'll see you next Tuesday at 8:30 again for the Kayak Fishing Obsessed show. Have a great night.
Thanks for having us on.
Yeah, all right. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.